Hey YouTube, what is going on? Well, in this video, I want to do an update on Nano Dimensions because I see some pretty decent areas of support and that stock has been dropping. So this could be a great opportunity to pick up a nice swing trade on NNDM. And then after that, I want to go into the market averages and try to get an idea of where we might be going next. I know that's not easy in this crazy bipolar market, but I'm going to try to do it anyway. And then after that, I want to show you some other decent looking charts as well in case the market starts to rally. All right, well, I'm jumping right into the charts. This is the daily chart of Nano Dimensions, ticker symbol NNDM, and it's been quite a long time since I've covered Nano Dimensions. I remember covering them way back in October. I remember this big sharp move up that it had in May, and then watching it until it crossed above those moving averages. And as soon as it jumped above this 8-period exponential moving average and started to ride it up, that's when I started covering it on my channel. Of course, this has been an absolute huge winner. Not many stocks have done this. I had no idea Nano Dimensions was going to have one of these type of moves, or I would have sold everything I owned and bought back in October. But that's the fun part about the market. You never know what is coming next. And if any of you have been in this stock for that long, congratulations, because this has been a huge, massive run for you guys. But right now, I'm sure these last couple of weeks have been testing your patience, and I'm sure at least some of you that have been in this for a while are probably thinking, should I get out now? Is the run over? And is it going to be headed back down to the lower single digits? And I do not know about that, but what I do know is it's coming up on some very nice areas of support. So if you are considering selling, I wouldn't do it just yet. I would wait for a bounce up, and that's easier said than done. I'm sure if you've held on this long, you probably have a lot of conviction and you might not even be thinking about anyway. But if you are thinking about entering this stock, I think I have some very nice support areas to show you. Now let's zoom in a little bit closer and take a look at them. And actually right now we are sitting on a pretty nice one. That's why it hasn't been moving down in the last several days. It had that gap down into it, had a decent bounce up, but now it is testing it again, but it has not broke it yet. So that's showing you that's a pretty strong area of support. Let me get this one out of here real quick. And let's go to the hourly chart. If we go to the hourly chart and back it up, we can see that support area a little bit better. I'll draw it on here again real quick. So this is a very decent area of support. I do think that this area is probably going to hold, but there is another area that I am considering getting in if it falls that far, and I will show you it right now. I'm going to draw the Fibonacci grid on this move up that it has had. And if you look at this Fibonacci grid, the 61.8% retracement level coincides with this area of support right here. So this would be a massive move down. And if this area of support that it's sitting on right now would happen to fail, I think that would start kind of a domino effect in some people that are on the brink of probably getting out. I think if it breaks this area, it could certainly fall down to this $7.75 area pretty quickly, and I think that would wash out a bunch of people that are like on the brink of throwing in the towel. And if Nano Dimensions falls to that level, I think that is going to be a pretty good area of support. And I think there is a high probability that we could get a decent bounce off of that. So if it comes down to that 775 area, I am going to be very interested in taking a pretty good sized position to try to play this bounce. Now, I'm probably only going to play a swing trade on this and maybe try to catch a bounce back up to like the $11 area, maybe even back up to this 38.2% retracement area, because honestly, from this fall all the way down from right around $18 down to $7.75, if it does fall that far, a bounce up to the $11 to $12 area is really not that far of a bounce up, and it could do that pretty quickly. And Nano Dimensions has a lot of retail trader and investor support, so I would imagine that If this stock starts to get going again, there could be a lot of people looking to jump on this train. But if it falls to this 775 area, I am going to be very interested in grabbing some shares, because if you guys are not familiar with the Fibonacci retracement areas, the 61.8% in my experience has usually been the strongest area of support. The 50% retracement area is also strong, but if it happens to break that one, I think the 61.8% retracement area is going to offer a pretty good size bounce. Plus, you also have this support area that's going to be there as well. So that's like double support in the same area. So those are my thoughts on Nano Dimensions. If you guys have any different ones, or if you're holding this stock, and if you know any rumors or anything that might be happening soon that could be a catalyst to send this stock one way or the other, please leave it down there in the comments section. I would love to know if there's something big that's brewing. I went through the news pretty quick and I really couldn't find anything, but I haven't been following this stock super close. So any of you guys that have been following this stock really close, I would appreciate anything you could tell me down there in the comments section. But those are my thoughts on Nano Dimensions at the moment. All right, guys, I'm going to get into the market averages real quick to try to get some direction on what is going on with the market. I know it is super hard right now because the market has been so Jekyll and Hyde, up huge 1 minute, down huge the next, but I'm going to try to do it anyway. I'm going to stick my neck out there. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm just trying to give you guys a little bit of perspective to help you make better trades or investments. There's just so many different variables going on right now. And, you know, as they say, you always have to try to account for variable change. And these variables are changing like crazy lately. But anyway, this is the QQQ, which is the NASDAQ ETF. And if we zoom in a little bit, we can see all of the volume pouring in. Now, we can definitely see that the red days have much bigger volume than the green days. So that would kind of tell you that the sellers are in control. And of course, looking at this chart, it's pretty obvious to see that they are in control. The QQQ is below the 50-period simple moving average and actually below all three of these at the moment. But it is holding this area right around 311 pretty solidly. So that's showing us that the market is trying to put in a floor. Now, the other averages are a little bit stronger than the QQQs, but the QQQ might be trying to put in a bottom right now. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's up next week, but it is super weak and it only takes one big down day to wipe out that level. But if we go intraday, let's go to the hourly chart. And we can look at the hourly chart. We can see it's making a very nice double bottom. It has a lot of climax volume potentially coming in. So that is another sign that we could be making a bottom. Another thing I wanted to show you is something I like to look at on the QQQs is the MACD indicator. It looks like we have a pretty nice positive divergence happening on the hourly chart. So if it does get above these moving averages, there is a pretty good chance that it could have a sustainable uptrend for at least a few days. And that might be all that we need to get us above the 8-period exponential moving average and get back into a short-term uptrend on the daily chart. I'm trying to draw these lines right here, guys, show you that positive divergence that we got going on. We got the lower low in the QQQs, but we got the higher low in the MACD indicator. So that is telling us that we have a potential reversal coming in the market. This market has been so fast, so you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt, but it looks like it's trying to carve out a bottom. Let me get rid of the MACD real quick, and let's take a look at the diamonds and the spiders. Now, this is the hourly, let me go to the daily. If we go to the daily chart on the diamonds, which is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, it is the strongest, but is actually performing the weakest today, but is still holding above that 50-period simple moving average. So it looks like there is a little bit more weakness in the stronger industrial type stocks, and there's a little bit more strength in the NASDAQ type stocks, but the NASDAQ has been beaten down further. But let's look at the spider real quick, which is the S&P 500, the broadest of the indices. And this one is looking like it is making a potential double bottom. It is holding above the 50-period simple moving average, so that is a good sign. Monday is probably going to be a pretty pivotal day. If we have a big up day on Monday, that could mean that we're entering into a new uptrend. I know this market keeps going back and forth, but if we have a big down day, especially on the S&P 500 on Monday, we're going to be below that 50-period simple moving average, and that could spell a lot more downside. So the market itself, it's still kind of like in no man's land, going back and forth. I think if we get a break above this 8-period exponential moving average on Monday, we're probably going to be in good shape. But if we get a break below the low of today on Monday, then I think we are going to be in pretty big trouble. So Monday is going to be a very important day to watch. Let's take a look at the hourly chart real quick. Back it up. Let's slap that MACD on there and see if we got a positive divergence happening. Not really. It's not a very strong one, so I don't know if I would give that one. Yeah, I probably wouldn't even call that one a divergence because it's basically going sideways. The one on the QQQs looks a lot stronger, and the QQQs tend to lead the averages usually. So hopefully that one holds up and it drags these market averages higher. All right, that's my look on the overall market, what I'm thinking about it. Let's get into some of the other good-looking charts that I see in the market right now. All right, guys, let's get into some nice looking chart patterns that I found. Now, I'm not going to be taking any new positions. There's only about 10 or 15 minutes left in the trading day today, but I'm not going to be taking any new positions. All I've been doing is day trading the last couple of days until we get some decent direction in the market, not this back and forth nonsense. I'm not going to be taking any new positions to the upside. Now, if the market does gap above the 8-period exponential moving averages on those three indices that I went over, then I think there's a strong possibility we're going to be up next week, and I think there is a good chance that these stocks could have good weeks since they're already making a bullish formation. All right, well, the first one I want to show you is Farmers Brothers Company, ticker symbol FARM. This one, it broke out to a new high yesterday, and today's candle, it is holding near the highs of yesterday's highs. So that is a very bullish formation. Of course, we have all the strong volume coming in right now as it's breaking above those moving averages. So it's a very strong pattern. And if we go intraday and take a closer look at that breakout, let's back it out just a little bit. See, when the stocks have these big sharp up moves, that's when you want to put them on your watch list and then zoom in and wait for them to try to form that saucer formation. Once they start coming up the right side of that rounding bottom and bust above those moving averages and start to hold it, that's when you look to buy the stock, or at least that's when I like to buy the stock, because that's when it has the highest probability of moving higher. So FARM looks like it is in the beginning stages of breaking out, and I think if the market is strong tomorrow, or I should say on Monday, there is a good chance that Farm should have a pretty good week next week. The next one I want to show you is CTHR. CTHR. That is Charles and Colvard Limited. And if we move in a little bit closer, we can see it already had that sharp move up, and it's starting to make that nice rounded move right at the beginning part of that rounded bottom. And if we go to the 15-minute chart and break it out, we can see it's just starting to come up the right side of that rounded bottom. Had that nice false breakdown, and now it's busting above those moving averages. So if it can hold these moving averages just another few more bars, probably into Monday, then it's a pretty decent buying opportunity, and there's a good chance it's probably going to break to a new high. So CTHR is looking good for next week if we get a rally. And even though this is a pretty sharp move up, the fact that it's holding those moving averages and starting to make that nice rounding bottom on the intraday formation, there could still be a lot of upside. So CTHR is definitely worth keeping on your watch list for next week. Next one I want to go over is MHLD. MHLD has been grinding higher, and it just had a move into new high ground, and it's coming down and testing the old support area, and it's holding it, and it is back above the 8-period exponential moving average. So this one looks like it's starting to make that acceleration phase. It's having that creeping uptrend, and now it is broken to a new high, and the last low that it had is pretty much came down and made a low on top of the old resistance area. Even though it broke down just a little bit, the market's been pretty choppy, so you got to give it a little bit of leeway. But when they break to a new high and don't come all the way back down into that grinding trend, but kind of make a bottom on top of the old high, then that's a pretty good possibility that the trend is going to accelerate. Now, I'm giving this one just a little bit of leeway because, like I said, the market has been super volatile, so you can't expect it to make perfect tops and bottoms. But I think MHLD has a pretty good chance of moving higher next week if we do get a strong market. Next one I want to show you is SND. SND looks like it's poised to bust out to a newer high at the moment. It is just starting to make that grind move higher. And if we go to the 15-minute chart, we can see that it's coming out of that rounded bottom and starting to break over that old resistance area. So SND, and this one is in the oil and gas sector. So as you guys know, I'm pretty bullish on that sector, even though it's pulling back today. You can't go up every single day, but I do think the oil and gas sector is going to do well going into the summer months. Let's get back to the daily chart real quick. Take one more look at it and show you how strong that pattern is. And the next one I want to show you is ZIOP. ZIOP is a biotech company, and this one is making a very nice bullish flag, and it looks like it's starting to break out as we speak. If we go to the 15-minute chart on this one, we can see that it is completing the right side of that rounding bottom. And if it can hold these highs and then get above $5.60, I think it could be off to the races, because these biotechs tend to move pretty fast. So with these biotechs, I try to get on a little bit faster, because when they do get going, they kind of leave you in the dust if you're not quick on your feet. So ZIOP is definitely worth watching for next week. Next one I want to go to is ELOX. ELOX is another biotech company that is going sideways, but it looked like it tried to break out today, but it's pulling back. If we zoom in just a little bit closer, we can see those lows are getting higher, and the trend is starting to go to the upside. This has pretty much been in a sideways trend, but we had a nice little breakout. If it can pull back and hold into the mid-4s until these moving averages come up, I think there's a pretty good possibility this one could be jumping higher as well next week. So ELOX is definitely worth keeping an eye on. And one that at least one of the guys in the Patreon had in his portfolio was XTNT, and this thing absolutely exploded. I talked about this one at least 2 times, but I know I talked about it about 4 or 5 days ago, and I was just saying how much I liked this pattern. But I went with SGOC instead, and that one is so yeah, I wish I would have bought XTNT. Could have used your help on that one, Studio. Where were you, man? Anyway, they can't all be winners, and that's okay. I'm actually still holding SGOC. I considered doubling down since it was touching the 50-period simple moving average. But SGOC definitely not performing as well as XTNT. If any of you guys out there did grab XTNT because you saw it on my video, please give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And tell me next time when that's going to happen, because I can jump on there with you. Well, all right, guys, that's all I have for the next week's watch list. All right, guys, well, that's all I have for this video, so I'm going to end it right there. But if you have any questions about any of these stocks, or if you have any other stocks you want me to take a look at, please leave them down there in the comment section. I will get to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, guys, and until next time, take care.